There's something you've stopped admitting, even to yourself. You're not okay. Not because something dramatic happened, not because life fell apart, but because it didn't. Because everything looks fine. You wake up, you do the things, you smile when you're supposed to. You say, "I'm good," when someone asks. But deep down, there's nothing. No spark, no meaning. Just a dull emptiness that lingers like fog. You're not broken, you're just numb. And that is far more dangerous. The quiet epidemic of numbness. This isn't depression in the way people talk about it. It's not always tears and darkness and isolation. Sometimes it's the slow fade, the emotional flatline, the sense that life is happening around you, but not to you. You laugh at jokes, but you don't really feel them. You have conversations, but they don't touch you. You chase goals, but when you reach them, there's no celebration. Only the question, is this it? You don't feel alive, but you're not dead either. You're in between. And no one talks about this. Why we go numb. You weren't born this way. You were born sensitive, curious, present. So what happened? You felt too much. You loved too deeply. You lost something you couldn't explain. Or you were told again and again that your feelings were too loud, too much, too inconvenient. So you turned the volume down, just a little at first, just to get by. But slowly your inner world became quieter until you didn't even notice how silent it got. Plato's soul and the splintering of the self. Plato believed the soul had three parts: the rational, the spirited, and the appetitive. When they're in harmony, we live well. When they fracture, we suffer. Numbness is a sign of fracture, not in your body, but in your soul. Something inside you stopped trusting that your feelings mattered, so it shut down. And when one part of you shuts down, you don't become stronger, you become less you. A story, the room with no windows. Imagine this. A child builds a small room to hide from the chaos outside. At first it feels safe, protected. They bring in a few comforts, pillows, books, a flashlight. But over time they forget what's outside the room. They forget there even is an outside. Eventually the flashlight batteries die, the air gets stale, and the child forgets why they built the room at all. This is what happens when we numb. We retreat into ourselves for safety and get stuck there. Comfort becomes a cage. Carl Jung and the repressed self. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Numbness is unconscious pain. It's grief you never named, desires you buried, anger you swallowed, love you gave that was never returned, and it doesn't disappear. It just sinks deeper until it runs your life from the shadows. What numbness protects you from? We like to think of numbness as failure, but it's actually protection. You learn to feel less because at some point, feeling more was too painful. You numbed to survive. And for that, you should feel pride. Because even if no one else saw it, you fought for your life the only way you knew how. But what once kept you safe is now keeping you stuck. Nietzsche and the danger of eternal recurrence. Nietzsche asked, what if a demon were to say to you, this life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more? Would you throw yourself down and gnash your teeth? This was his test for meaning. If your numb mechanical life repeated forever, how would that feel? Most people would shudder, because deep down they know this isn't living, this is waiting to die, in slow motion, the price of playing it safe. You think you're avoiding pain by being careful, but you're not avoiding pain. You're avoiding life. No risk, no joy, no heartbreak. No wonder you've traded aliveness for safety, and the cost is too high because one day you'll wake up old and realize you never truly felt anything. Not because you couldn't, but because you didn't let yourself. Machiavelli and the real game. Machiavelli warned that appearances often matter more than truth, that people are more easily manipulated by image than substance. And he was right, especially now. We curate our lives to look meaningful, while feeling nothing. We chase dopamine, distraction, validation, but our inner world is barren, and no amount of likes will ever fill a soul that's gone dry.
Bonhoeffer and the Courage to Feel. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote that the ultimate test of a moral society is the kind of world it leaves to its children. But what about the world we leave to ourselves? Do we build lives of truth, of depth, of presence, or do we hand ourselves shallow routines, numb rituals, and call it normal? The most radical thing you can do today is feel, not analyze, not avoid, just feel. How to feel again, gently. You can't rip numbness out by force. You have to invite feeling back in, gently. Try this. Sit with silence, not with a podcast, not music, just you. Write without editing. Let your unconscious speak. Watch an old movie that once moved you. Notice if anything stirs. Walk outside without a destination. Let the world touch you again. Cry, even if you don't know why. It will be awkward, maybe painful, but it's how we begin again. The unexpected twist. Here's what no one tells you. Once the numbness fades, the feelings come back all at once. Joy, grief, rage, wonder. You'll feel overwhelmed, but also finally human. This isn't regression, it's resurrection. The soul was never lost. You never lost your soul, you buried it to survive. And now you have the strength to dig it up. Piece by piece, layer by layer. Your sensitivity was never the problem. It was the signal that you were still alive, still whole, still reachable. A final image. Imagine standing barefoot in a cold stream, eyes closed, hands open, and for the first time in years, you feel the water. Not just intellectually, but in your bones. That's what this life wants to give you. Not facts, not performance, but contact with yourself, with the world, with meaning. The real invitation. So here's the invitation. Stop running. Stop numbing. Stop pretending you don't care. Let the floodgates open, even if just a little. Because underneath the numbness, beneath the masks and noise, is the real you. Waiting, aching, ready to feel again. If you want to see more, click the subscribe button and like.